Whether you're watching this on YouTube or TikTok, try to subscribe. Help me build this community so we can get things done as a unit. We can do our lives when the community gets bigger and everybody can have a voice. If I'm wrong about something, check me on it. I try to stick to the facts, but I can be wrong. I'm human. But if I'm not, then the conversation is over as far as who's wrong. Because it's not about being right. It's about the truth and the facts. Now let's get into this next video.
Laken Riley, Kayla Hamilton, Rachel Moran, Maria Playetes, Dayanara Cortez, all killed by illegals. I could have shown more faces, but I would be here for a while. I'm trying to make a point. None of these deaths had to happen. These people were murdered, unalived, by people that did not belong in this country. Dilara Muhammad recently ran over a 3-year-old, caused them brain damage, and she ran. These are the type of things that go on in Somalia. Recently, you saw a boxer named Anthony Joshua that got into a car crash. And you see how they didn't even have an ambulance for him. The roads in these other countries are dangerous. So you have people murdering, or better yet, unaliving people just because. You have people hiring truck drivers with non-domicile CDLs that are killing whole families. And then you have immigrants over here driving reckless, hitting children, and fleeing the scene. These are just a fraction of the cases that I've seen. Yet, you don't hear Rachel Bilal or Don Lemon speaking about these names. Instead, you see them coming on the news, or what is a pitiful excuse for the news, and making excuses for criminals, people who do not belong in this country. These people have raided churches in protest. Now, if Americans raided a mosque in protest of something, it would be all over the news. You would say how wrong it is and how unjustified it is. But somehow it's okay for a bunch of illegals and a nutcase like Don Lemon to run into a church and disrupt these people's worship. But one thing I don't do is disrespect anybody's religion. Whether you be Christian, Muslim, Jewish, whatever it may be, whatever issue I might have outside of that place of worship, I would never bring into that place of worship. There's a time and place for everything. And that's not the place nor the time. Yet Don Lemon thought that it was okay to help illegals and a bunch of Democratic shills mount up and go into a place of worship and disrespect these people while they were praying. All these crimes that these people are here doing, billions stolen, but they figure out a way to dance around that every single time. You have someone like Ilhan Omar, who became a millionaire in 4 years. How?
Someone's in a lot of trouble.
Ilhan Omar under investigation after racking up millions while she was in Congress. Follow the money? Well, that's precisely what the House Oversight Committee is doing. They are probing squad member Ilhan Omar's skyrocketing family wealth, Jesse, especially in the wake of that $9 billion, some would argue $19 billion social services fraud scandal that exploded in her district in Minnesota. The Oversight Chair, James Comer, says his team's lawyers are exploring the extraordinary step of subpoenaing Omar's spouse over his curious business practices. Republicans want to know how the Somali-born Omar and her politically connected husband, Tim Minette, went from being nearly broke to being worth around $30 million in just a year, according to her 2024 disclosure forms. Quoting Comer now, there are a lot of questions as to how her husband accumulated so much wealth over the past 2 years.
0 to 30 million in 1 year, while the rest of us have an affordability crisis.
Minette and his partner, Will Haler, back in 2022, formed an investment firm, Jesse, named Rose Lake Capital. They had $42 in their bank account at the time, but in a year, up to $25 million, according to Omar's filing. By the way, he also has a wine business that went from next to nothing to millions on its
How'd
books.
that happen?
Not surprisingly, associates were so perplexed about the irregularities, they brought information and attention to the feds to, look into it.
Whistleblowers came from her husband's company and told the feds.
The question is how. Here's what we know. Omar's husband, a former political consultant, owns a venture capital firm based in Washington, D.C. and a winery in California.
I didn't know that firm was in D.C.
Take a look at these numbers. In 2023, Omar disclosed a maximum of $50,000 in assets at the winery. The next year, Dana, that number increased to $5 million. Meanwhile, her husband's company, Rose Lake Capital, reported a maximum of $1,000 in assets in 2023. The next year, it was $25 million. Despite that, Omar denied being a millionaire.
It can't be a coincidence that the same congresswoman who pushed schemes that enriched criminals in her home state just so happens to be married to a financier who's got a firm in the nation's capital that just explodes and gets rich overnight.
Next year, it was $25 million. Despite that, Omar denied being a millionaire earlier this year, posting on X, quote, "I barely have thousands, let alone millions." House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer tells Fox News an investigation is underway, writing, quote, "The committee is working on addressing ethics concerns regarding Representative Omar and her spouse, and we hope to have an update soon." But Omar says she's being targeted.
Oh, she does.
Ever since I've gotten to Congress, they have been doing these sort of weird ethics investigations.
Then don't be
None
unethical.
of them have yielded anything because I have been as transparent as I can be.
Then there's nothing to worry about. If she's been as transparent as can be, and she's never done anything wrong, there's nothing to worry about, right?
Elon Musk says Omar committed fraud, while President Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, quote, "She should be in jail or even a worse punishment, sent back to Somalia."
Wow.
Omar authored the Meals Act in 2020, which loosened oversight on food programs during COVID. Federal prosecutors say one of those programs, Feeding Our Future, stole $250 million through fake meal sites.
And these were programs that she got behind, run by scammers. Did those scammers pay her back is the question.
How about Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar? In February of this year, she shot down claims that she's actually a millionaire. She wrote, "My salary is $174,000 before taxes. I don't have stock or own a home. And I'm still paying off my student debt." So if you're going to lie on something that is public, maybe try checking my financial statements, and you will see I barely have thousands, let alone
let's check
millions. Well, people have checked the public records now.
Yeah.
Ilhan Omar apparently has a net worth upwards of $30 million, somewhere between $60 and $30 million. And get this.
So she says come check me out. I haven't done anything. And then people check her out and they figure out that she's filthy rich suddenly. How does this not launch an investigation? How do you think you're going to get away with this unless it's your plan to leave the country or something? But here's where the real connection is. Look at this.
We see a web of connections between them and those directly involved in the fraud. For example, Ilhan Omar, alleged enabling introducing the 2020 Meals Act, which was ultimately subject to fraud, held a campaign victory party at the Safari restaurant. That's where one of the men who run that restaurant has associations to the convicted individuals. And then there's Tim Walz, House Oversight Investigation role in his role as governor. Or Keith Ellison, the Attorney General. His job is to enforce the law in Minnesota, but instead he's getting donations after meeting with the Feeding Our Future representatives. The Feeding Our Future, the biggest
These people all got paid
part
off.
of this entire fraud, theft ring.
It is a theft ring. And here's what's really crazy. So she's associated with people that have been convicted in fraud schemes that she helped set up and pass. That's like the biggest red flag of all. And the president just weighed in on what he thinks about all this.
I always hate to see this. Ilhan Omar, she comes from Somalia, a backward country, probably the worst country. They say it's the worst country in the world, if it's a country. I don't even think it's a country. There's
Not
no
a country,
organization.
according to Trump.
They don't have police. They don't have military. They don't have anything. But she'll come here, comes, and then she wants to tell us how to run our country. The Constitution says that I am entitled to this. I can't stand her.
Okay, so when you've got a federal investigation with House Oversight Committee involvement and agencies like the FBI, and then you got the president singling you out for corruption, what are you going to do if you don't want to admit the corruption? What's your option?
In the last few weeks, we've certainly heard in cases where people have been picked up.
You say
many
it's
of
the
them
federal
had
government.
Lawful
That's the problem.
status in this country. We've heard a Sudanese immigrant who went in for his scheduled green card appointment and was told that he wouldn't have his
She's drumming
interview,
up support.
and was picked up, sent to Texas. Our office has tried to get information about his whereabouts. I know that Senator Tina Smith's office has tried to get information on his whereabouts. We also know that his family has tried.
This is the only thing she wants to talk about. She just wants to talk about the injustices of the administration that could end up holding her accountable for criminal activity.
Minnesota, the crime is incredible. The financial crimes are incredible. Nobody talks about the fact that $19 billion at a minimum is missing in Minnesota, given to a large degree by Somalians. They've taken it. Somalians. Other people work it out, and they get them money, and they go out and buy Mercedes-Benzes, and they come from here. I was told that Ilhan Omar is worth $30 million. She never had a job.
Wow.
She's a crooked congressman.
Yeah.
That was President Trump today on the Minnesota frauds.
Insane.
He's calling out Congresswoman Ilhan Omar.
$30 million is
her net worth
insane.
is soaring to $30 million. Congresswoman Omar has not been implicated in any of the state frauds so far. She previously she's denied being a millionaire, saying her salary as a congresswoman is $174,000 was her only significant income.
Like I've said in the past, and I'll say it again, I do not care about the Republican Party, nor do I care about the Democrats. I care about ridding this country of immigrants who have been looting American tax money for years. And as far as Ilhan Omar's crimes, don't for 1 second think that Republicans are not doing the same type of stuff. They might not be as sloppy as her, but I'm sure they're doing dirt as well. But I would rather Americans commit these crimes and get caught versus a whole slew of immigrants that have invaded our country, wiggled their way into political systems. Some of them are police. You have a very popular Somalian sheriff in Minnesota who literally said his worry is about the Somalian community, and you are a sheriff in America. I don't believe any of these politicians as far as I can see them. But this is something that I stand with Trump on, and it makes me sick to my stomach that you have people that are on the left that want nothing more than to see this man locked up for BS. Meanwhile, look what his investigations are coming up with. Now, imagine this was the Republican side. That's all the left would be talking about. Because at this point, it's not about being right. It's about what they want. And they want to be in power, and they want Trump out of office. That's all this is about. So instead of focusing on billions of dollars that could have helped Americans, they want to focus on getting Trump out of office. When I haven't seen a president in years that has uncovered the things that he has, I don't have to like him. I like what he's doing. Am I saying he's perfect? Absolutely not. But if Kamala Harris was in office and Tim Walz was in office, imagine what would be stolen. None of this stuff would even be known. Somalians would still be raiding, child care, college funds. If there's a program in Minnesota, they've looted it. You can look it up. And they want to talk about a bunch of criminals, illegal aliens that are being shipped off and shipped out, and especially expecting Black Americans to care? Absolutely not. I hope he gets every last one of them out of here. And I know he won't be able to. But I hope. Until next time. Peace.